Well, welcome to Pennsylvania Newsmakers, and as always, thanks for watching us. Well, have your electric bills gone up? But first, let's take a look at the first couple of weeks of the gubernatorial administration of Josh Shapiro. Back after these words.
Welcome to the fast-paced and unrehearsed weekly discussion featuring the leaders who help shape your world. Join us as we address the issues that impact you each and every day. This is Pennsylvania Newsmakers. And now, here's your host, Terry Madonna.
All right, well, we have a number of big subjects to get to this week on Pennsylvania Newsmakers. And joining me, as often is the case, is David Taylor. He's the president and CEO of the Pennsylvania Manufacturers Association. David, welcome to the program.
Thanks so much, Terry.
I'll tell you what, I want to talk about some of the specifics of Josh Shapiro, Governor Josh Shapiro, I should say, first couple of weeks. But I tell you, it's been a long time, perhaps back to Governor Dick Thornburg, when a incoming governor has gotten the kind of statewide as well as national attention as Josh Shapiro, correct?
Well, certainly. I mean, you know, Pennsylvania is the largest of the remaining swing states in America, and for the governor to have won such a resounding victory, it was inevitable that the spotlight would fall on him. But I think what's more remarkable is the tone that he struck and the gestures that he's made, that he's appointed, you know, a number of prominent Republicans to his cabinet. He's made some really welcome remarks about lowering the temperature rhetorically in the state capitol, and saying that, in his words, that politics is not a zero-sum game. And so, again, I think that we, all the stakeholders, are hopeful that we're going to enter a new era, and that Governor Shapiro was serious about, about governing well and making sure that all of the various interests are included.
Yeah, there are great points. I think there are 6 Republicans in a cabinet. I think there are 23 cabinet officers, department heads. 6 are Republicans. And what strikes me as unusual, I'll put it that way, is that Democrats and Republicans, business and labor, are all applauding, for the most part, applauding Governor Shapiro's first couple of weeks.
Well, and and I wanted to make mention of the 3 executive orders that the governor has put forward, because I think that there's, again, that these are very positive signs. The first was that he removed the requirement for a 4-year degree for service in many positions in state government, to say that we want more people to have opportunities, and that for those jobs that really shouldn't require an undergraduate degree.
That's 92% of the total, or about 65,000.
Yes, sir, exactly. And so that's significant. And I think it also, combined with what the governor has said about returning vocational education to the public schools, about focusing on workforce development and job readiness, that I think, again, that's a good sign that that his administration will I don't want to say de-emphasize, but it's like, will recognize the truth that not every young person has to go to college in order to be successful in life.
Yeah, there are great points. He established, and I'm reading it here, the Pennsylvania Office of Transportation and Opportunity.
Transformation.
Transformation, that's right. Well, there's also transportation involved, but transformation. But the fact of the matter is that when you think about this, he has these offices that he's created, literally not just reporting to the governor's office, but one of them is within the governor's office itself, to show you that he tends to be, how do I put this, almost dramatically involved.
No, I mean, the governor is indicating that he wants this to be a priority, that government should work better for the people, and that there should be, stronger coordination and more focus on public service. And that really, I mean, it's very good as far as it goes. I think the more important thing over time I hope that the governor is able to actually change the culture inside these state agencies so that you don't have to force them to cooperate, but rather it'll be in their nature to try to be responsive to the public. I'd also suggest that, that the governor could add a private sector advisory panel to that effort so that the people who are living under the regulations, the people who have been affected by the dysfunction of state government could give their input, and that might accelerate the process.
I mean, the fact of the matter is he is basically focused on the economy in Pennsylvania, but also, as you accurately point out, in terms of how government can better serve the people of the state.
Yes. And again,
individually as well as for
business entities,
corporate Pennsylvania.
Yeah, and again, this is the, these are very welcome sort of principles that the governor is putting forward. Just signing the order doesn't necessarily make it so. But if the work will continue along the lines of what's been put forward, then I think it can yield a significant difference.
All right, we're going to talk about business competitive improvements, and we'll do that after these words.
This broadcast of Pennsylvania Newsmakers is presented by the Pennsylvania Chamber of Business and Industry, the statewide voice of business, and by the Pennsylvania State Education Association, bringing the power of a great education to our schools, our students, and our communities. This broadcast of Pennsylvania Newsmakers is brought to you by the Pennsylvania Highway Information Association, the go-to source to learn about transportation projects and issues. Please visit pahighwayinfo.org. And by the Pennsylvania Manufacturers Association. Business in Pennsylvania is our business.
Welcome back. Well, David Taylor joins me. He's the president and CEO of the Pennsylvania Manufacturers Association, and I can't think of a better person to talk about business and competitiveness than David. So how are we doing?
Well, one final thought, please, on the governor's actions. There was a third executive order pointing towards permitting reform and regulatory compliance reform, and that the governor put forward a money-back guarantee to say if your permit isn't approved in time, then your application fee is refunded. And I think that the gesture behind that is noble. It's a good sign. The problem is that the thing that the applicant really needs is the permit itself. And so, because again, the productive activity can't happen until after the state has issued the permit. And so, again, I would just recommend that the administration look at things like deemed approved, which is that if it's not approved in time, if it's not reviewed in time, it's automatically approved. I think also if application fees keep going up, and yet the agencies say they don't have enough money, the application fee should be dedicated to the processing of those kinds of permits. I think that would be a solution too.
Okay, competitiveness.
Yes, sir.
How are we doing?
Well, I mean, my honest opinion is it's a very scary time. In Washington, we're up against the debt limit again, $31 trillion, and that our indebtedness now exceeds our national income, which has not happened since we were in the throes of fighting the Second World War, battling for our national survival. You see the annual payment on the debt, just the interest payment, now crowding out all other kinds of spending. It's going to be larger than what we spend on national defense, the most, the core purpose of our national government. And so, I am very much afraid that we are headed for hard times.
Oh, really? I've been reading some reports lately that, there was these discussions about, are we in a recession now, or will we go into one if you don't think?
Yeah, I mean, we've been flirting with the dividing line of the definition of a recession, but the problem is that a lot of what has kept the economy afloat has been basically stimulative type spending, which again, with this debt problem, with the debt to GDP ratio, we have to stop. I mean, like Terry, we're at the point where Social Security in 10 years is going to exhaust the trust fund, which means 25% benefit cuts unless something is done.
Happens, yeah.
And so, again, to have that kind of mandatory spending coming out of the regular budget.
Unemployment is at a relatively low rate.
Yes.
And you can't go anywhere and find staff shortages.
Everywhere.
Staff shortage.
Everywhere. And so the real, like the untold story there, Terry, is that the workforce participation rate has dropped. And actually that there are fewer people working, at least in Pennsylvania, now than there were before the pandemic lockdown. So this is another crisis in progress, whereby that not only can employers not find the qualified new hires, but that people have just dropped out of the workforce. And so I'm very concerned that process is going to intensify itself.
Well, look, I want to thank you for coming in and providing this update. We'll get you back and see how Governor Shapiro is doing and how the business community is doing.
We wish him well.
Thank you. All right, coming up, we're going to talk about your electric bill. Has it gone up? If so, why? And then how about the big scams? All that after these words.
This broadcast of Pennsylvania Newsmakers is brought to you by Cross-State Credit Union Association. Credit unions, where people are worth more than money. To find a credit union that is right for you, go to ibelong.org. And by the Energy Association of Pennsylvania, Pennsylvania's energy information source. This broadcast of Pennsylvania Newsmakers is brought to you by the Association of Pennsylvania State College and University Faculties, representing the faculty and coaches who are devoted to providing quality public higher education for Pennsylvania's college students.
Well, there's a huge controversy in this state, and that is, I'll put it this way, have you checked your electric bill? Well, joining me to talk about that and a few of the big scams, important scams, is Brian Roche. He's the anchor and consumer investigator for WGAL TV News 8. I think I got that all right.
You did.
All right, Brian. Well, let's start. Electric bills. The fury over this is running. It still continues to be an important issue before the folks in this state.
It's not a happy new year for anyone at all with an electric bill. Right after the holidays, we started hearing from our viewers specifically about their PPL electric bills. People were telling us horror stories. The bills were doubling and tripling. People who had a bill one month that was $100. The next month it was $500, $600. We even had I had a coworker whose bill was over $1,000.
You're
$1,000.
Serious?
Yes. And here's what's going on. First of all, the power supply, the default power rates went up. They went up by 50%. For example, with PPL, the one we're hearing most about, the rate went up from about 7.5 cents in November of 21 to 14.6 cents, I think it is now, in 23. So that's a 50% increase in the span of about 13, 14 months. So that's half of the problem. But the other half of what was going on with PPL customers, PPL was estimating the bills of some customers. They were basing their estimates on what the customer's use was a year prior, in December of, say, the year before. And a lot of customers were telling us those estimates were nowhere near the facts of what their prior bill was. PPL was telling us, and continues to tell us, that it was some kind of a technical issue accessing customers' information. They've never gotten more specific than that. But there has been a lot of shock, no pun intended, over these bills. And again, it's mostly PPL we're hearing about right now, but it's affected all of the power companies because the price of power, the price of energy, has gone up across the board. We saw it with gas prices, of course, and now it's trickling into the energy market.
What are organizations like PPL, what are they saying about it?
Well, just the president of PPL sent out a letter apologizing to customers, basically saying you deserve better, we need to do a better job, and they are going to, they say they're going to address these concerns in your next bill, to make the adjustments in the next bill. But within hours after that letter went out from the president of PPL. The State Public Utility Commission announced an investigation into PPL's billing practices, what's going on, and the PUC basically saying, we're watching you.
All right, final question on this. The fact of the matter is, if you have a supplier, your bill did not go up. What's that about?
You know what stunned me in doing the research on this, Terry, is that 65% of people, 65% of PPL customers are still with PPL. And that means they're paying the highest rate out there. They were comfortable with PPL. They've known PPL their entire life, but they never went shopping. But if you go shopping, you can get a lower rate. I know right now, again, PPL is about 14.5 cents. You can get rates as low as 10 cents a kilowatt hour. But a lot of people have never done that because they've been too concerned. You can just go to a website, papowerswitch.com. It's run by the Public Utility Commission, and you can see the list of all the rates and all the terms and conditions.
Yeah, so there is a way to protect yourself. That's basically your point. All right, we're going to run to a break. We're going to take up some of the important scams. We'll start with the remote access scams. You're going to help people save their money after these words.
This broadcast of Pennsylvania Newsmakers is brought to you by the Pennsylvania Medical Society. Inspired physicians committed to the good health of Pennsylvanians and the advancement of the practice of medicine.
All right, well, let's talk about some of the important scams. You're going to help us save some money, Brian Roche, I hope so. Let's start with remote access scams. What's that?
It sounds really technical, and in a way it is. What this starts with is an email or text message telling you that Terry, hey, you've been charged for your computer protection service, or this $900 charge has been just charged to your account, your credit card. But if you didn't do this, call this phone number. So when you call the phone number and you get a live human being and you say, well, I didn't do this, I want my money back, they immediately will promise you a refund. But what they want to do is get you in front of your computer. And then I'll skip all the long, elaborate steps, but the short version is they will try to get you into your computer, log in through a series of websites that they control, and try to get you to get to your bank account. When they get to your bank account, they get in there and they start manipulating numbers to make it appear that they over-refunded you. They sent you too much money.
Oh, God.
And it amounts to tens of thousands of dollars. I did a story recently with a gentleman in York County, and they charged him for $370 for some computer thing. But they claimed they made a mistake in the refund, and now he has $37,000, and they want all that money back. They claim they can't take it back out. So they were in the process of trying to get him to send $37,000 back to them, but then he realized, this doesn't smell good. He went to his bank, and the bank said, no, you're being ripped off here.
Yeah.
So that scam is not the biggest scam in terms of volume right now, but it costs people a lot of money, and it's been growing rapidly in the last 6 to 10 months. And so it's still growing. Oh, yeah, it continues to grow.
And people like you there needs to be more people like you talking about this,
people get this phone call, and they really think they're losing this money. And they think, okay, this is the process that I get my money back. Yeah. But you should never let someone into your computer, first of all. And second, never let someone into your bank account. You know what I would do with a phone call? I would go personally into my bank. That's the best advice.
Yeah.
That's absolutely the best advice.
Personally, I would walk in the front door of my bank and go up to a teller and say, what's the situation, right?
Well, that man that I was just talking about, that's how he saved himself.
All right. Cryptocurrency. I can't even pronounce that right. The cryptocurrency scam. Well,
we're hearing so much about crypto, Bitcoin, all of those digital technology, digital currencies these days. And this cryptocurrency is a scammer's favorite way of getting their money because it can't be traced. And cryptocurrency, and I want to be careful how I say this, it kind of exists in the ether world.
Yeah.
It's not real money per se. And that's their favorite way of trying to get their money out of people. But the ironic thing, they keep approaching senior citizens, older people with these scams and say, I want you to send me Bitcoin. I want you to send me this. I want you to go and do that, but send me cryptocurrency. And the vast majority of people still have no clue what cryptocurrency is, how it works, and they don't really want to do with it. If you're a younger person.
But hold on, how does it, if you don't know anything about it, then how does it hurt you?
Well, because you still lose money. You have to go buy the cryptocurrency with your real money.
Okay.
But so many people are just like, I don't know how this works, and they hang up on the scammer, which is good. So the scammer, this amuses me, the scammer shooting themselves in the foot because they're not going to get their money from a senior citizen who's 75, 80 years old and has no concept of how this works. But these cryptocurrency scams continue to persist. And the reason I wanted to talk to you about it today is if someone is asking you for crypto of some kind, Bitcoin, digital money, you could be pretty much guaranteed that that is the sign of a scam. Just walk away. Do what we were just talking about. Hang up the phone, walk away.
Yeah. All right. Most of us use Google in some form. Google voice scam. Now, it may not cost us a lot of money, but what's the problem with it?
This is a growing problem as well. And what this is all designed to do is to give the scammer a temporary phone number to use to run their scams. So what they do is they send you a code. Say if you're selling something online on Facebook Marketplace or selling something on anywhere on the internet, they'll contact you and say, I'm going to send you a code to make sure that you're really the person who's selling this item. So they send you the code. But the code is not to identify you. The code allows them to start using your telephone number, your phone number, and create what's called a Google Voice phone number. And with that code, they're using a Google Voice number attached to your number. And so they're kind of posing as you as a scammer for a little while. And they'll use these phone numbers just for a short period of time, literally 2, 3, 4, 5 hours, and then they move on to another one. So law enforcement can't track them down. Again, you're right. You don't lose money with this, but you do lose face.
Yeah.
And you could have an FBI agent, some kind of a police officer knocking on your door because, excuse me, Mr. Madonna, your phone number is making scam calls to somebody. What are you doing? And you could, be answering questions that you have no idea what this is about.
Yeah. Well, we have about a minute and a half left. Are there any, these scams seem to be growing. I follow you and watch your work, and it seems like there's a new scam every other week.
The technology that they have, Terry, would boggle the common person's mind. They have, first of all, if we talk about phone scams, they're really not phone calls. They're done over the internet. The scammer uses a computer to contact you. They don't use a telephone line. And the technology they have to spoof the phone numbers, hide their location, they will make a call through the internet and literally bounce it around the globe after through 5, 6, 7 different servers just to hide their location. So if law enforcement goes to try to track them down, it's impossible to get them. So the tools and the technology they have are phenomenal. And I have so many people who contact me and say, I got this phone number, let's track it down, let's get these guys. And sadly, I have to tell people, I can't do it. You have to go to the FBI to try to do this kind of thing.
Some law enforcement,
major law enforcement, like the National Security Council or something like that. But the technology they have is mind-boggling. So many victims of scams believe there's still someone sitting there dialing a phone number and reaching out to them. It's not. It's a computer. It's a computer reaching out to you. And if you answer those phone calls, the computer is going to log your number and say, oh, he answered the phone. I'm going to call him back.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. All right. We'll see you next week for another edition of Pennsylvania Newsmakers. And as always, you stay well.